105 BTC and this wall making everybody super edgy at the moment, and we've seen it in quite a flat market this weekend. Now, what is going to come next? Are we going to get a monster dump into some beautiful buy zones, or are they going to push us up first leading into tomorrow? So guys, I've got a nice trading plan for you. I've got all these altcoins ready to go. I've got some great buy areas if these guys are going to send us lower as well. So we got tons to talk about here on a Sunday. Let's go. And remember, as always, hit that like, hit the bell, and hit the subscribe. And you can normally find me on Crypto Banter Plus, Monday to Friday, doing all this shitcoin trading all day long. Well, not all day long. In the evenings, you can catch me there, guys. So that is where you can find me. And those of you that are familiar, James is in the house.
Good day.
Quick sentiment check with you, sir.
Bullish.
Bullish.
Bullish, as usual.
Okay, as usual, he's bullish. We're going to bring him back for a little bit of news just now, and we're going to see what the latest is at the moment. Now, in terms of banter bubbles that we're tracking here, you can see I'm tracking the newsroom on the right-hand side. That gives me the latest news that's cooking there in the market. But then you can see we've had decent moves out of 𝗔𝗊 today, 13%. I think I've got a nice short getting ready for you guys. I've got that one coming. SPX showing so much strength, and Sol and 𝗵, obviously the 𝗵 is the ecosystem play. We've just seen Sol wake up really nicely, and that is starting to push. Is it going to hit 158 for us? Is it going to hit my TP before they come and rinse me a little bit later? So we're going to talk about that one as well. I've got tons of action for you guys, but let's start with the big dog. Let's see where we are right now. This is BTC on the 2 hour that I'm tracking, and you can see a relatively choppy or flat weekend, I would say, and it hasn't been that much action. I've been sitting in trades pretty much since Friday. I think we've been sitting in some of the same positions. So right now you can see what's going on. BTC, we got big resistance, our VWAP from the highs, so this is going to be our first port of call here. Call it 106k. That is trouble zone number one. Then I've got a big danger zone here, 106,600, 106,700. Look for some kind of fake out through that zone. That is making sense to me as the next possible hit list on the upside. And then I just want to bang out a 618 as well. I just want to see where that one is, and I want to get some tie in here on this undercarriage. It's not quite tying up for me here, but this is what I'm interested in. If we do get a second push to the upside, it's going to be this 108,400 zone. So 108,400, somewhere in that region is making a lot of sense to me. So if we're getting a push up first before this Asia Open later on, that is pretty much what I'm looking at. Now, in terms of the downside stuff, guys, you can see it's pretty clear. We've got our weekend low floating around at 104,300, and any dip into that to clean out some stops and things like that. 103,900 could make a lot of sense. And then look out for a wick onto our VWAP and 50-day MA, 103,300. So these are the current ping pong zones that I'm interested in, and these are ping pong zones subject to this war news not getting a little bit more extreme than where we are at the moment. We can see normally under these conditions, these alts would have absolutely shat the bed this weekend. I'm actually quite surprised we haven't seen 15-20% dumps on these altcoins just yet. It's pretty surprising to me that everything is holding at the moment. In fact, I can't believe we're not seeing massive de-risking at the moment. But that is the picture of decent news out of the markets, short-term ping pong zones that I'm watching. If things get a little bit uglier, then we need to zoom out to BTC. We've got to start looking at daily chart levels. We've got to watch these types of things. And then when the market does start dumping, guys, what you want to watch is your big high probability bounce zones. And this for me is this 102k region down to say 101, and then lower down. Obviously, we don't want to go there, but it's 99k down to 95k. These are the trouble zones for us. I see we've got a lot of chart hackers members in the chats here today. Good to have you guys here. And obviously I'm not on Banter Plus today. We are on the main channel. So good to see the hackers crew are joining us here in the chats. Okay, let's get into the news. Well, let's first start with lickies. Okay, so let's talk some liquidations here and see what's going on. This is a nice representation of this weekend. We had 1.2 billion, James, 1.3 billion on Friday in lickies, and today we only got 204 million in the last 24 hours. So that means, the market has been relatively flat at the moment, so not much action yet. Okay, so just be patient. It's going. I see you smiling. It's coming. Okay,
it's coming.
just just play the ping pong zones, guys. Okay, because it is coming now. James Wynn, for those of you that saw, he was liquidated on Friday. He now says he wasn't liquidated on Friday. So there were rumors floating around that it was his account. Apparently, according to him, he was not liquidated. Okay, so there you go. That's that. And what a better way to spend a Sunday night of dinner with candles. I mean, who's doing that? The Hackers guys are doing that tonight, because we got our Hackers for a Sunday banger Zoom session coming in hot later on.
And Father's Day as well. Not just the Sunday, but Father's Day Sunday. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there.
Father's Day with candles, guys. Okay, what an absolute banger, eh? What a Father's Day gift. We can trade shit coins on Father's Day. What a gift. Okay, now, guys, this is very important, because now I'm absolutely done with being an expert on Elon and Trump's relationship. And right now, this week, I'm an expert on Israel and Iran. Okay, that is me this week, and you're going to hear all about it. So,
along with all of Twitter.
Let's see. I'm an expert today. Okay, I'm an absolute expert on the Middle East situation. So what are we expecting this week? We got markets reacting to the war. Let's see how they play out. We're obviously watching gold, we're watching oil, and I'm going to take you through those charts as well. Then we've got our OPEC monthly report. That's an oil situation as well. A big one, Fed interest rate decision on Wednesday. That's a pretty big one. Okay, that's something to look forward to.
Huge.
And obviously market movers. And let's get into the war stuff. I see the riots or the protests in America were a little bit of a nothing situation at the moment.
There was some large numbers in some of the cities, but I saw nothing about it getting out of control. I mean, a couple of things, but nothing major at all. There was no like crazy violence or anything. And there wasn't that many reports of it, because the war's being covered all weekend. It's kind of taken over all of the media, right? Because missiles just keep flying. They're flying again right now as we speak.
Okay, so look, guys, in a nutshell, I'm sure you guys are watching and tracking the news. I'm not going to bore you with all the news updates. I'm just going to show you what I've got here at the moment. We've got a US denying, that they had anything to do with the initial attack, but they have come back and they said, look, if they need to, they're going to join, especially if Americans start getting injured. They're going to come in. They're going to come in pretty hot. Now we've got Israel asking them to join the war. So I mean, there's nothing new here, that you haven't picked up this weekend. And then we've got Donald talking about they're going to make a deal and all these things, but we know the nuclear negotiations are off the table as far as today is concerned.
At the moment, anyway. But I mean, Iran's asking for negotiations again, right? And that's the thing. This thing is just so back and forth. Every hour, there's something new coming out. It's all over the news just before we came on that Trump vetoed a plan to kill the supreme leader. I don't know how he is supposed to veto a decision for Bibi, but all sorts of things coming in.
Guys, again, just track the news, okay? We're going to really be subject to whatever the latest news is, and it's either going to dump the shit out of the markets or it's going to pump us off this nice support that we find ourselves on at the moment. We are literally down to that. We're waiting for some kind of news thing. We've got Putin apparently getting into a call with Trump as well, trying to settle the fight. And it's like the two big brothers in the playground, and all the other little guys are boxing, and the big brothers are trying to sort it out on the side. Okay, and there's rockets going all over the place, guys. Yeah, exactly. Yumi says just chill and wait for a spot entry. So, guys, it depends on your mindset. It depends on what you're looking for. Okay, at the moment, I'm sitting in a couple of longs off these support regions because I love these bounce zones, and some of them are turning green, and it's looking good. But it is a Sunday, and we're probably just going to pump into a resistance zone, get some kind of rejection, and then the real entries are going to come on the next pullback in that Asia session. And that is the question: how deep is it going to go, and where is the pain going to end? And I'm going to tee you guys up with some of these entries for you as well. I'm also going to show you where to exit if you are sitting in some of these longs at the moment as well. So Jay says, the markets are holding, and it's very surprising to me. Okay, so the first thing we want to watch, guys, obviously is oil. And this makes a lot of sense, when there's a threat in the Middle East, especially, this oil is going to start pumping. But you can see oil has pushed up on the daily into a resistance zone, and it's actually turning a little bit bearish here on our oscillator. Now, obviously, an escalation of the war is going to escalate the price of oil. But what I'm seeing at the moment is possibly, odds are that we're going to get some kind of reversal here, 79 to 80. This is WTI. This is US oil. And then we are looking for buys on oil for longs later on at around the 66 zone is what we're going to be watching. So if we are looking for an oil dip, that tells us we're looking for some kind of calming situation in the war news, and then we're looking for alternate markets to pump. If we're looking for oil to pump, it probably tells us this war is going to escalate and things are going to get messy. So you're going to see all these charts that we're looking at the moment are teeing up to these places here where we're going to get some kind of truce or some kind of ceasefire, and they're going to bounce or they're going to reject. So gold is another one that we're watching at the moment. This is the 2 hour, and gold is turning a little bit bearish. So very excited to see how the market's going to open, because we know if gold rejects here where it should, according to this 2 hour chart, we should get a little relief rally in the markets. We should see the S&P start pushing up. We should see crypto start pushing up. So this is going to be one we're going to watch later on when that Asia session opens, and 3,388 for me makes a ton of sense here on gold if we do reject in this current zone. So I'm actually sitting in a gold short at the moment that we teed up on Friday, obviously looking for that dip down. Now, obviously, if the war escalates, I'm going to get absolutely rinsed on my BTCC gold short here, but that is the bet I'm obviously taking at the moment, and that is what I'm looking to see play out. Now, if the war does escalate a little bit more, where's our next short zone for gold? Where's our next relief rally for the rest of the markets? For me, it's 3,490, 3,500, those types of levels. And you can see I'm treating this gold chart almost a similar way to how I treat the Bitcoin dominance chart. When you see dominance pumping into resistance, you're looking for alts to bounce, and it's the same story. When gold pumps into resistance, we typically are looking for some of the other markets to bounce a little bit as well. And I see Tindo wants to trade dominance.
I forgot.
Great, eh?
Are you still long that thing from yesterday?
No, it stopped me out. I lifted my stop up. But guys, you can actually literally be long or short Bitcoin dominance on 𝗏𝗏, and we long that on our live trading session on Saturday. I'll show you guys about that one. I'll show you in a sec. Okay, so guys, there's the deal with gold. Obviously, if you are leaning to gold short or an oil short, i.e. falling over, you are kind of leaning to some kind of war truce situation and things cooling off a little bit. If you are long gold at resistance, you are obviously expecting now, a little bit of an escalation in the war situation. So pick your sides, pick your battles. And what I'd like to see here is the current sentiment. Let's see how you guys are feeling here. We said sentiment check. 58% bulls. That's interesting. 42% bears at the moment. James is not happy with that, because normally when the majority are too bullish, well, that is normally when we feel a little bit of pain in the markets. Okay, so maybe guys, you got a few minutes. Just correct your votes here. Let's bring this down, and let's try and get the sentiment in the right place. Okay, so we don't absolutely shit the bed later on. Now, something that looks like it wants to shit the bed is the S&P 500 again, and you can see my oscillator is printing spider webs at the moment, and our blue reversal dot, which is quite a heavy reversal indicator for us. So that is looking a little bit bearish from the oscillator front, and we can see our S&P is starting to drift into our all-time highs, and that is still my plan. I'm still desperately waiting for this final pump so that we can get the short going on this S&P and eventually send it down. So waiting very patiently here, but you can see I've got a couple of other charts for you as well. There's a bit of a bearish wedge situation going on here, and if we actually break down, things could get a little bit ugly. Okay, and Adam says he sold his bed already. Okay, so, well, I don't know, bro. You have to use the undies, bro. I don't know what to suggest here. Trend Spider says spooky stuff. Now, look at this. All Magnificent 7 or some of the big stocks on the US market looking very much like that S&P at the moment. Look at Amazon top left there. That is losing the wedge. You've got AMD losing the wedge. You've got Google under a bit of pressure there. NVIDIA potentially losing its wedge as well. These are all bearish wedges, so it is something interesting here to watch. And in terms of NVIDIA, again, look, I'd love to get this short right again on NVIDIA, but I'm trying to be a bit greedy with my entry, and I am waiting for 150 to 154 before I short it on BTCC. But you can see it is coming, guys. There is pain on its way. Okay, there is spider webs getting printed on my oscillator as well. That's pretty bearish. Lower high on the oscillator, higher high on the price. Wouldn't it be amazing if we get one more pump into that zone and then we can try and catch that short? So I'm waiting patiently on that one for NVIDIA. And then Google, same story. We're not going to hop on this one too long, but you can see a couple of arguments here with Google also looking a little bit bearish, oscillators reversing, and there's no entry right now for me on Google, but you can see typical 618 resistance at 181. If we do drop lower, I would say we get a bounce at 165 to 162, somewhere in that region. Now remember, we can trade stocks on BTCC. This link is in the show description for you, and you just send crypto there, and then you can trade whatever. You can see I'm still sitting in this Visa long. I really thought I closed this thing, but we're going to find out when the market opens, James, because Visa, there was bad news on basically Visa and MasterCard, because a lot of these retailers were talking about using stable coins and things like that for their payments. So Visa and MasterCard absolutely shat the bed. On Friday, they didn't like the news. Okay, they definitely didn't like that news. Now, guys, I'm going to get into some of these altcoins, and I just want to let you know, and maybe it's something you guys are going to enjoy. I've been live streaming some of the trades that I'm sitting in on Crypto Banter Plus. It's concurrent. It's a concurrent stream for you guys all the time, and then I'm still doing my shows on Banter Plus. But you can track some of the trades that I'm sitting in at the moment. And if you guys are enjoying it, I'll leave it running for you. This has been running for 5 days, and you can see in real time what I'm getting up to. You can see in real time the trades that I'm entering and things like that on the fly. Literally longing shit from my bed the other morning at 6 in the morning. And some of you had the pleasure of watching me get rinsed, like properly rinsed on that sell-off on Thursday. I think I did it was probably about a $30,000 profit round trip, give or take, that you guys got to watch live while I slept blissfully in that Asia session. And I think Dan was one of the ones that there. Dan's actually watching it. I've seen him in the chat. So you guys can go and follow this if you want to. It's on Crypto Banter Plus. And just go to live and you'll see it there. So as I adjust things, you can see there's a whiff trade in front of you right now. You can see my stop loss, you can see my entry, and you can see my target that is on the chart for you guys. And I'm just letting this run. So if you're enjoying it, obviously let me know in the chats. We can make it a thing if you want it to be a thing. Okay, so happy to look at that. And then also, you know, we've got some other traders as well in chart hackers, and some of them might have some interesting trades for you guys that we can obviously drop there for you guys. Okay, so let's get into the stuff. Let's get into the good stuff. Let's talk liquidation heat maps quickly, and just in terms of trying to navigate what happens next on BTC. You can see what I like to use is the 24-hour liquidation heat map and the 1 week liquidation heat map. Now the 24-hour gives you a nice band over the weekends. You can see the yellow stuff is the juicy stuff where the market makers want to potentially send the price to take people out. So you can see this top layer here, 107K to the upside. Let's look at the BTC chart. Where's 107K? And that is bang into this zone over here. So we know immediately that this is a possible rejection zone for us if we pump a little bit higher. Then in terms of pumping a little bit lower, well, if we drop down into 103,200, for example, that could be a nice area for us. And where's 103,200? Look at that, bang on that 50-day moving average. So there you go. You're going to get rinsed both ways, says Madam Sniper. And that's pretty much what they're going to do. I can't see how they won't do this to us. Okay, so just be ready. These are the ping pong zones. And then the weekly is obviously an absolute banger. This weekly always tells you a very nice picture as to what is going on. And we've got a nice build up there up to 107. You can see that region over there. At some point, they're coming back to 111. They will come there. Just be patient, but it depends how low they want to go first. Okay, now to the downside, we've got 102. That is an interesting zone there for us as well on BTC. Okay, so you've got the big ones. And there's your 102, that is your 786, and that will be your wick fill to the downside. So now you guys are nicely prepped. You've got everything you need in terms of BTC. And now let's talk about some of these altcoins. I'm just trying to read you. I see JR's in the house. Hello, sir. He says he survived the wreckage. And Samir, you're not late, bro. You're absolutely not late. You are good to go. Let's see who else is here. And Kimmy's in the house. Kimmy's our Bitfunded. She's running our Bitfunded stuff in chart hackers, and she's going to teach everybody that's in chart hackers how she passes the Bitfunded challenges. So if you want to find out more, we have opened a new channel in chart hackers that Kimmy is running for us, and AI16Z is pumping according to PMG George. Well, I do have virtual for us, so we're going to look at that and we're going to cover. So, guys, let's jump into alt. Let's not digress here. Okay, we could talk shit all day. Dominance for me on the 12-hour. We're playing the same game as the gold chart. For example, when dominance pumps into a resistance zone, you look for an alt bounce. When it drops into a support zone, you look for an alt rejection. And that's why we've marked it alt danger to the downside and alt bounce zone to the upside. So whenever you see a rejection, that is typically when these alts start bouncing off some good zones. Okay, so here's this chart. Remember, all these charts go into Chart Hackers directly after the show for you guys. You'll have access to all of these, but you just want to watch these hot zones. And for me, right here, 64.8%, this is an alt bounce zone. Then a little bit higher up, if the market starts melting down, 65.2 is an alt bounce zone, and then 65.4 is going to be your next alt bounce zone that you want to pay attention to. Anyone tracking that dominance. Now, this is an absolute banger, the 4-hour RSI heat map, and this helps us track some outliers. It helps us spot longs. It helps us spot some shorts. And it also tells us the overall sentiment on the short term or shortish term in the market. And you can see a couple of ones that are hot at the moment. Look at this 𝗔𝗊. And 𝗔𝗊 looks like it's pumping and getting ready for us to get some kind of short. Now, when we typically want to look for a short, we want to see these things heavily overcooked to the upside like that. So we're just waiting for 𝗔𝗊 to push higher. But I'm going to tee you guys up with a possible short here on 𝗔𝗊. And that is going to, hopefully it's going to hit in the next 24 hours. And you might get some kind of entry there to the upside. So we're going to be tracking that one. Let's get into ETH. So this is basically me after the last ETH round trip. And I can't take this away until ETH pumps again, James. It's here to stay. Okay, this is absolutely me. And I had to go back to my bed after a full and public round trip that you guys got to watch and enjoy the pleasure of me sending ETH all the way back down. And we can call this thing another fake out of horizontals. Look at this. So we previously had our fake out of horizontals, or a deviation, or whatever you want to call it. Then they came again, and we thought, but this time, no, it sent us straight back to hell. And now again, what we're watching our big support level. So this is how I'm playing this at the moment. I'm sitting in an ETH long position. I am using 2,400 as my main support. Why is this important to me? I've got an order block in the house here. I've got horizontals. I've got my 50-day moving average. This is a big high confluence zone for me on ETH. So if we get a drop down into that zone, I'm expecting this area to hold. Okay, subject to whatever the latest war news is or whatever is going on. And then I suspect we get some kind of range trade on ETH. You can see every time we push to the upside, we reject. Every time we drop to the downside, we bounce. So we're kind of expecting the same thing until proven otherwise. So that is the first zone, 2,400, looking for that to hold. If there is a little bit more pain, there is a macro 382 sitting at 2,300. That is going to be your backup zone for ETH. And I am expecting that one to hold. If there is, there might be a war escalation that can push us down there. But for me, 2,300, I would expect at the very least a bounce or a reaction on that area. Okay, so I'm going to be playing that zone as well, 2,300 and then 2,400. Those two make a lot of sense to me in terms of any weakness. And then upside, guys, you can see the level where we get rinsed every time. 2,700, 2,800 is the pain trade. And let's just see the sentiment check here. Still 58%. 58% too bullish. That's concerning for me, guys. It's very concerning for me. And Mo says, are we shorting Sonic? Mo, I've got the Sonic chart for you, and it's an unlock week coming up, and it could be pretty bearish. We're going to look at the Sonic chart for you in a sec as well. I am covering that one for you guys. Okay, so guys, there's your picture on ETH. Now, let's just talk a couple of trades that I'm sitting in at the moment. You can see I've jumped into some virtual over here. I've got a BTC long that I've been slowly trimming out of. That was part of the dump the other day. It picked up some longs for me on BTC. I'm still sitting in my Bitcoin short. I've closed my Subi short. I've closed my comp short. And obviously looking for some kind of bounce here at the moment. You can see Hyperliquid is absolute banger at the moment. On that last dump, we picked up some more buys on Hyperliquid. ETH is relatively flat. WIF is the trade I took on Friday, and I've left that one open. You guys would have seen I'd moved my stop loss. I added a limit order. Anyone watching that live account would have seen that I adjusted a few things on Friday afternoon or Friday evening just just to sort out that whiff trade and grab that extra entry there for us. And then Sol obviously looking good. Now we've got a little bit of bullish news on Sol. We know the ETF situation, and we also have this going down. Now Bybit CEO unveils Buy Real, its first on-chain DEX on Sol, launching this month. I don't know. Is that super bullish for Sol, James? I mean, in theory, it could be.
I mean, yeah, it's going to bring some volume, right? I don't see that why it's so bullish. Like, it's one of the few tokens that's doing something, and that's why 𝗏𝗏 is moving, right? Because of Sol.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's strange to me that this is that bullish. But I guess
I mean, they're launching a DEX, but then like 𝗏𝗏 is pumping as well. So maybe it's obviously not related, because 𝗏𝗏 is obviously the DEX as well. So let's look at Sol. Let's see what is going down. And I mean, it took me by surprise. I added a little bit to that long. I've been sitting in that long since Friday morning, I think, after that dump. But in terms of what's going on, yeah.
If that news was bullish, 𝗏𝗏 should be dumping, right? Because it's a competitor then, right?
Correct.
So yeah, that can't be the reason why. Maybe, I don't know, some whale is aping in or something. I'm not sure. But yeah, that can't be the reason, or 𝗏𝗏 would be toast.
Yeah, it's pretty weird. Okay, but that is good news anyway. So there's a bit of a DEX coming that obviously creates some volume, creates some interest. Okay, so in terms of Sol, what do we do? Okay, so if you're sitting long now, we've got war news going on. Why the hell is Sol still going up? Okay, why is the market actually green? It's quite an interesting one. So if the market carries on pumping today, leading into this Asia session, we're probably going to see a sell-off or some kind of rejection in the market for Sol around about 160. Okay, that is a big zone there for us. If we do get a pump into that area, that is a big rejection zone. I would be super careful in that area. Let's see how the market plays out. But if we pump into that, guys, make sure you are taking profit. Look at that. I'm locked and loaded here. 158. There's my TP. Okay, I'm not going to sit around waiting. Last time I missed Sol TP by $1. I'm not going to miss it this time. Okay, 158. I'm waiting for Sol to hit that TP, and hopefully then reverse, give us a better entry potentially. Then in terms of lower down, now downside we can see this was our big zone, 141. This has held for us now twice. Okay, 141 is good. If the market dumps now, if there's nuke talk, if there's more war drama, and there's a massive pump in oil, and they close this 𝗏𝗆𝗆, the Strait of Hormuz in the Iran, we know there's going to be drama in the markets, and you need to be ready to catch these buys. Now, where are the big zones that I like? For me, number one is 130. You're looking for buys there. 130 down to 124 makes so much sense to me. Anywhere in this box for me on Sol makes a ton of sense for the next dump, for the next buy zone that you guys want to be watching. And then if you zoom out a little bit more, you can see I've got a big macro fib here as well, the 618, and we're going to look for that one to hold on anything serious. Look at that previous dips, 115, 117, those types of levels. Now, if we do get another dip in the market, the exciting thing about this for the altcoin traders is most of these charts look like this. Okay, the daily chart looks like this, where if we print a new low, you are pretty much 99% certain that we're going to print bullish divergence on the daily. Now, a daily bullish divergence is a very powerful thing with these altcoin trades. It tells us we can tee up for some super strong reversal moves and some big swing plays that we can look forward to. So if we do print a lower low, it's not all doom and gloom. It's going to be a buy opportunity on some of these levels. And this is pretty much across the board on all the alts that I'm watching. We're looking for that daily bullish divergence. If they give us the pleasure of that, we need to make sure we are ready. And you guys need to make sure you are watching the show. If the market falls over Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, make sure you are watching me on Banter Plus, because if that market shits the bed, you want to be watching. We're going to nail those entries again this week for you guys. Okay, they're chaos calling it a bed shitting incident. Okay, so guys, there we go. That's that on Sol. Now, Sol on the lower time frame, I've broken it down because I'm obviously in a bit of a Sol degen play, and I just wanted to highlight for you guys why this is a big TP zone for me. And you can see this 158 is a massive region. Why is this so important? So anybody trading Sol, why am I concerned about this? Look here, we've got our macro 382 there. We've got our 50-day MA. We've got a VWAP from the highs as well in that region. So anywhere in that zone is a massive danger zone there for me on Sol. So if it doesn't reject right here, where it is, 152.5, that is where I'm looking to TP and get out of that trade, because I'm most likely seeing some kind of reversal when we pump into that zone. You can see on the 2 hour, we are getting a bit cooked here, and this could give us a perfect opportunity to print some divergence on the 2 hour and then get that final push into that 158 and then basically send us to zero again. Okay. And Samir, 𝗵𝗵𝗏, look, I teed up 𝗵𝗲𝗏 for you guys, but 𝗵𝗵𝗏, yeah, possibly. I just haven't looked at that chart just yet. So yes, but it is heavily overcooked. So it could be something of interest for you guys. But here is a short that I'm eyeing out. This is Jupiter, and I gave you guys this one on Friday, and this makes a lot of sense to me. So if we get a nice pump for the rest of the day now on Sunday, I'm still looking for a short here on Jupe, 446 up to 452, somewhere in that area. Why is this interesting to me? So look what's happened last time. You can see we've been in this beautiful downtrend, okay, on Jupe and all these altcoins for the last while. What typically happens is you dump down, okay, then you pump back into the resistance, then they drop you again. Look at that, there's our resistance. Then you pump back down and you pump back up into resistance, then they drop you again. So I'm just expecting another pump into resistance and then a dump again on this Jupe to the downside. So that is why I've highlighted the short zone for you guys. You can see my alarm is on here at 44,444. My alarm is on and waiting. I think this is a fairly decent risk reward short play, 3 to 4% risk. You're going to be looking at your entry is going to be somewhere from this 44,444 up to 452, and you're looking for this thing to roll over a little bit, possibly hold the lows, but a nice cover, a nice backup play there. You can see 12 hour is actually bullish there, so there's good signs that this one is going to hold the lows, and we are looking for that push later on to the upside. But in terms of just following a little trend and looking for rejections, I think that's a nice risk reward play here on Jupe for you guys. So look out for that one. And guys, reminder, my accelerator course is in my workshop is in 1 day 18 hours, so that is on Tuesday, and this is my very short, sharp and sweet accelerator course where you learn the TA that you see that I'm doing on the show. I tie it in with all these indicators and the oscillators, and then I sit in front of you guys and we cover a couple of workshops. And this next workshop that I'm going to show you the following Tuesday is how to pass BitFunded, because everybody who completes the school is going to get a BitFunded account. Now, BitFunded is that prop funded trading that we've been speaking about. And basically, you get a demo account, you got to get 8%, then you get 5%, then they give you real money to trade with, okay? And I've made sure everyone on my team is passing or have passed BitFunded, and they're all capable of showing you guys exactly how to do it in Chart Hackers as well. So here is the first 500 people that complete the school are getting a $15,000 BitFunded account, the next 500, 10,000, and the next 500, 5,000. So you're basically guaranteed to get your BitFunded and at least have a crack at getting a funded account. And a funded account lets you keep 80 to 90% of the profits, okay? And what was that short squeeze comment there, James? I love it when somebody says short squeeze. You don't have to tell me twice. Short squeezes are reacting to the news. Yes, can we get some good news though, please? Please, sir. Guys, remember, everything I talk about is sitting literally in the show description. Click on more and you'll see everything here for you in the show description. It's all here for you guys, okay? Now, let's talk something that's getting rinsed. Bybit launching on Sol. So Mantle Chain is dead. Now, I'm not a fundamentalist, and I don't quite understand why this affects Mantle, James, but I thought this was very, very interesting because Mantle looks like absolute dog shit, okay? And right now, this thing is falling over and melting down. So this is MNT, and I'm looking at the perps on MEXC, and it's looking like a sad state of affairs at the moment if you compare it to some of these other alts. So anybody trading this thing, well, if you're looking to exit at some point, well, you're probably going to get a bounce down here at this 5.5 region, down to 5.2. So at some point, it's going to be heavily shorted because if this is what everyone is talking about, they're probably jumping in short. So you are going to get this drop. Then you're going to get a squeeze back to the upside. So you are going to get an opportunity, and then you're going to get a further downside rinse on this thing potentially. So massive weekly level coming on Mantle, MNT, and that is from 55 down to 52. So you could look for a bounce there. You should get something out of this thing. And then there'll be some kind of squeeze to the upside and maybe a nice trade, maybe a nice exit plan as well. Anybody who's looking, if you believe that this is necessarily bearish for Mantle. It might not be. Okay. Now, a couple of things you want to watch this week. Something interesting here for you guys. And Sol, obviously, we know about the ETF situation. But we're talking Sonic Season 2 airdrop campaign starts on June the 18th. Now, James, is this why this thing has been selling off or not pumping so bad for what, 3-4 weeks? Absolute dog shit at the moment.
Yeah, it's been horrible. Sonic's been one of the most unreliable of all the tokens. Horrible.
Terrible. Absolute dog shit. And then we're talking about Virtual, and one of the most anticipated launches on Virtual's Genesis launchpad is this use backroom. Now, whatever that is, but this Virtual thing is becoming a thing, okay? And it's something you need to pay attention to. Remember, they're making AI agents on this Virtual, so it's not a bad play to have, even as a spot situation, but something fun to trade. We know that it's a nice pumper. So let's look at S first. Let's just try and get our heads around it. So we know there's an airdrop situation coming. So people are going to get tokens and they're probably going to sell them. But is this the situation once again where everyone's anticipated this airdrop and they've been selling this thing basically to zero over the last couple of weeks? So since the 12th of May, like they've had a full month of dumping this thing. Now, I know a lot of the altcoins have also been a little bit sad, but I think the Sonic has taken the most of the abuse. And right now it's sitting in literally a bounce now, cut it off zone. And I don't use this thing lightly. This is literally bounce now or cut it off, okay? Because this thing is going to go to zero if they're not careful. So the couple of indicators here for me, the daily is printing a reversal again, and our cash flow is nice and green, which is pleasant, okay? Nice to see. And then in terms of the level, well, this is your final last gasp attempt before the zero. And then that's when we start scraping out the old phantom chart and we start looking at some levels back there when this thing was phantom and still cool to trade. Right now, so Sonic, guys, possible bounce, okay? And this is now counter trading the whole airdrop thing because everyone's going to try and be short. So this might give you some kind of squeeze. We looked at this one on Friday. It actually gave a decent bounce. And if it does bounce again, guys, well, your entry is 325 down to 31. Look for that. And then your upside is going to be 388 and you're looking at 43. Both reasonable zones and could be a 10 to 30% pump depending on how the market likes it. JR, is the Jito short printing? I think he's in too early, bro. I haven't even given you the entry yet, bro. Come on. What are you doing to me here? I haven't even given you the setup. Let's see. Shezmu, love vibe, love the stream. Like, good, nice, good. Okay, so there's S, guys. I'll make sure this chart is in Hackers for you. Remember, all these charts go into Chart Hackers right after the show for you guys. 𝗏𝗏𝗏's in the house. Beats is shouting fartcoin at me. I actually don't have that today. I mean, I literally cover fartcoin every day, and today is one of the days I don't have. Let's talk Virtual. So very interesting stuff going down for Virtual. And for me, you don't want to miss the opportunity to get into a Virtual position. So I've given you two big zones. Now, this is one of these situations where you might want a piece of Virtual on a much lower leverage, on a slightly smaller position, because this could be something when the market turns bullish again, could be something you want a piece of that you can grow and really create a bit of size on this token. So in terms of Virtual, there's two big zones for me. One of them is a medium war sell-off in the next, say, 24, 36 hours, okay? Medium sell-off, anything from 1.76 down to 1.71, okay? Anywhere in that zone for me is quite a nice buy area. Why is that nice? On the short term, 4-hour bullish divergence, you can see my oscillator is starting to grind higher, so that is looking very interesting to me. Okay, so that is your first high conviction zone for Virtual. Anything dropping down to there makes a lot of sense. Then if we zoom out a little bit more, you can see we've got a massive VWAP, and look what this VWAP's done for us before. The last time we dropped onto the VWAP, look at that reaction off that VWAP over there, and then we hit that VWAP again over there. Look at that bounce. So I'm expecting, if Virtual drops again, quite a strong bounce, 1.6 down to 1.56, 1.6 to 1.56. I'd expect quite a strong bounce on Virtual if you get that opportunity. So there's two big zones, folks, for Virtual. Pay attention to these. Get your alarms on your charts. Be ready to act. If the market falls over and you hit those zones, you probably find these are the zones where dominance starts reversing and your alt starts slowing down on these types of levels. And just pay attention as to what Virtual is doing when that happens. Okay, so those are the big zones for Virtual. They make a lot of sense to me. And then let's talk some 𝗏𝗏𝗏 things. Now, interestingly, we were laughing on Friday. We do Chart Hackers live trading on a Saturday, literally at a random time on a Saturday. If the market makes sense, we jump on and we do live trading on Banter Plus every Saturday with the Chart Hackers team. And Panda actually told us we could long Bitcoin dominance, and I found that hilarious. So we actually can long that thing on 𝗏𝗆. So that is quite fun. So the next time we're sensing a dominance pump, we're going to go long on dominance again, or a dump. We can obviously short that thing. And what I've got going on here at the moment, you can see I've got some bonk, which is a combination of an old position from last week, and it's not the best entry. And then I've got Popcat, which is it's a conviction play for me on a medium sell-off in the market. And this is exactly how I've built the trade on Popcat. So I've got one order in already, and oh wait, I've lost it here. Hold on. Where's my thing gone? Wait. There. Okay, so I've got one order in already on Popcat, and that was at 3171. Then I've got another buy order at 3019, and then I've given myself quite a big stop loss here because I'm going to be sleeping and I don't know what's going to happen, but I don't want to have a tight stop if there's a short-term sell-off into the Asia session. So I'm expecting Popcat to drop lower, pick up that order, maybe some kind of stop hunt or a sweep to the downside there, and then some kind of pump back up. So that is kind of how I'm planning this at the moment, obviously trying to cater for me being in bed later on and the market doing all sorts of weird shit. Okay, so that is what I'm going for. So my stop is sitting at 286 on Popcat, looking to collect at any weakness, grab some more, and then hopefully the stop hunt doesn't hit me there at 286. Now let's take a look at the chart and just show you why this is interesting. So here's Popcat on the 12-hour, and look what I've got. I've got double spider webs here. I've got snake eyes. I've also got this blue reversal dot divergence printer as well. So look at that. There's a lot going on here, telling me that we are pretty close to some kind of reversal play on Popcat. And it's super, super clean, and it's super simple because we know immediately if the market sells off, if there's some more drama like nuke talk and things like that, we know straight away Popcat is probably coming down 20 to 30% and it's going to 23. Okay, so we know immediately this is going to be our stink bid zone. This is where we're going to get some kind of buy in later on if there is weakness in the market. So 0.23, make sure you are locked and loaded, get your alarms on. That is your emergency zone for Popcat. If there is a medium sell-off in the market, you're probably going to find just something like this, little sell-off into Asia tonight, just a little bear trap there, and then bang, back to the upside is obviously my ideal situation here for the market. And this is why Popcat is looking super interesting to me at these levels. Okay, so you can see the trade set up there. I'm doing this one on 𝗏𝗆. So 3171 is the buy that I got, and then 302 is the next buy, and then the stop is 2862. Don't put your stop exactly on mine, please. They'll just come and hunt it and they'll wipe everyone out. Okay, so rather leave it higher or much lower. Give yourself room to breathe. Don't copy it exactly because those market makers will hunt. Okay, so there we go. That's Popcat. And then where can this thing go? To the upside for me, 365 makes sense, and then 409 makes sense to me. So it's going to be something like this, and your risk is probably all the way down. If you're laddering in, your risk is about 7%. So you want to ladder in. Then you can see that's why I've done that. I've laddered in with a small position, and then your move size 13% and 26% potentially. If the market shits the bed, guys, that is when you're buying it. Okay, same plan. Pretty much the same plan, and you'll probably get a bigger swing move out of that one on Popcat. So those are your two hot zones. Watch those areas. Those make the most sense to me, okay? And a false move week beginning, says John. And yeah, guys, anything is possible. This war news, really, literally anything is possible. Nothing is going to surprise me. We just got to be ready. We just got to make sure we have those zones ready. And Jesus, 𝗀𝗀𝗃, how's that? M4K4. Talking about 𝗀𝗀𝗃. I haven't heard of that in a while. Okay. Here's Brett, similar story. Doesn't look as bullish as Popcat. You can see I don't have the reversals. I don't have those things just yet. But Brett is also, we know this thing will pump when the market decides to reverse. And there's only two zones for me at the moment that make a lot of sense for me on Brett. So if you're looking for longs, similar strategy on Popcat. You can use this region, 44 down to 41. Anywhere in that zone, 44 to 41. Alternatively, you buying at 39 down to 36. Is going to be your next zone. Okay, so it depends how you play this. If you're super low leverage or a spot trader, you can ladder into that any weakness like that, and you're going to look for a move to that VWAP or the 50-day MA. So you're probably looking for about a 40%. If you're playing high leverage games, well, then you're going to keep it tight. You're going to keep it super tight there. You're going to have 3 or 4% stops in each zone that you can play with, and just protect your risk. But if you're low leverage and you like to chill, well, that could be a nice one for you guys. So anything from 44 buying down to 36, anywhere there, ladder in, and you should get some kind of swing there out of Brett. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to me. Okay, let's just see the size of this dip here. to make sure it's a similar move to Poppy's there. 16%, give or take, 16-17%. So yeah, that makes sense. A nice flush out this week, and now it's clean out. An unknown wants to send Sol to 420, guys. Yeah, I don't know. I used to be a believer, eh? And after that Trump situation, he fucking wrecked everything. I don't know. Where did he send us? 260, 270 with a Trump token, and then he ruined it all. Okay, he ruined it all. Okay. Guys, there's Brett. You got it. Let's talk Pepe quickly. Exactly the same as Popcat. There's two zones. There's literally two zones you're looking to buy this thing. This is my capitulation zone. If things start falling over, 95. Look for buys there. You can see my alarm is on. I'm ready to go. If they drop it in that zone, limit orders locked and loaded. Looking for buys there, any weakness. So if they come with some kind of war news later on tonight, bang, you're looking at a 14-15% dump. There's your buy zone on Pepe. Okay, 95. If they're coming with medium-sized news here and then there's some kind of truce or some kind of relaxing situation, Pepe's going to hold the lows. Okay, that is what you're going to look for. So you're going to look for a dip here, anything from 10, call it 11 down to 105. That makes sense to me on medium-sized news. If there's horrific news, make sure you are ready down here. Okay, limit order set, be ready to act. Okay, that is your zone that you're looking at. There's two possible areas here where we can get some nice moves on this Pepe. Okay, 𝗵𝗆𝗏𝗀𝗏 wildcard entry today. What is that? Like a random entry. Okay, let's talk SPX. This thing, look, CoinVo says looking for a bullish breakout, about to explode. We know there's mechanics behind SPX. Okay, we know there's some outside forces driving this thing at the moment, but this is still my zone. Okay, this is the one I gave last week. I still fancy a bite at SPX down here, 1.2 down to 1.16. So waiting patiently here. That's the 8 hour, and we close. It would take a war capitulation to drop down into that zone, but trying to be patient. 1.2, guys. SPX, look for that one. And then Hype, well, Hype just keeps grinding. What can be said? I mean, this trade has been an absolute brute here. And I mean, this thing's sort of came back from the dead here the other day, and it picked up some more orders. So that Hype is looking good. But my target for Hype, no changes, 152. I want to see that come into play for us. In terms of short-term levels for Hype, well, you're going to be watching 39.5. That's medium weakness. And then you can watch the lows, 37.4, for quite a big sell-off. But remember, Hype is something you want to grab. If there's some news that drops the market, you want to get into Hype because you know this thing's going to recover quite quickly. There's a lot of bulls behind it. There's a lot going on behind it. And it makes sense as a nice long play when you get weakness. Okay, it's a difficult one to buy on strength. So when you get those dips, obviously it makes sense. Now, JR, did you jump the gun, bro? Did you jump into this 𝗵𝗆𝗏 short too early? This is my plan. Okay, just hear me out before you jump into a 𝗵𝗆𝗏 short. Number one, you can see, yes, agree, you are at resistance. Okay, no one's contesting that. That is a resistance zone. We can see that 𝗵𝗆𝗏 here at 2.2 is a possible rejection zone. I agree with that. Where is a high conviction zone for me, and what am I looking for? So here's the 12-hour chart. What I would love to see on this 𝗵𝗆𝗏, and you guys have seen this from me many times, I want to see this oscillator push up, print a lower high right there, okay? While that happens, 𝗵𝗆𝗏 into the 200-day MA, this massive bearish order block here, and this 382 bang, okay? That is what I want to see for the reversal play. That is a nice swing short for me on 𝗵𝗆𝗏. So possible short-term short here, maybe a small little move there, and then a push up. But what I want to see for the big move, guys, is this push into that 200-day moving average, and then give us a big sell. Okay, so something along those lines is what I want to see. You're probably going to play about 5-6% stop, and then you're going to ride this thing down to that 50-day MA. So possibly a 20% move coming on that thing. Okay, so watch out there. 20% downside move potentially on that guy. Okay, I've spoken so much, I've gone hoarse. Okay, but you guys get the deal. If you want to track my live trades, you know what to do. It's on the Crypto Banter Plus. You can follow it on live. Make sure you are subscribed. I do the trading there every day, Monday to Friday. Longs, you've got entries. You've got entries here where we are. You've got entries lower down in case there's a dump. Yes, sir?
I see dominance is being hollered about, that it's awfully bullish right now. Might be an opportunity for a long live on Blowfin.
Well, you guys are watching. One.
You got everybody hooked on this now.
You guys are watching 1 minute candles. Okay, well, let's go BTC Dom. Okay, here's this BTC Dom. Okay, on 𝗶𝗆. Guys, if you want to trade with 𝗶𝗆, the link is in the show description, and you can trade dominance with me. So if you're bullish on dominance, you can go long on dominance. There, look, let's go long dominance.
Might as well, eh?
But I don't want to be long dominance. You guys are forcing me to be long dominance. Yeah. I'm going to drop my stop loss there. Okay, bang. And there, now I'm long dominance. So if dominance pumps, it's a nice little hedge play. Hedge play there for us. Okay, so to the moon, but everything else.
Wreck everything else.
Yeah, I don't want that energy. You know what I mean? It's shit energy. I want dominance down. Okay, James, thank you, sir.
Right.
I'm jumping into. See you later. I'm jumping into the Hackers Sunday night banger now, and that is in 30 minutes time. So anyone new to Hackers, come and join us. And it's quite a chilled environment. We tee up the week. We look at a few high time frame setups. We talk and we have a good time. Okay, we play some music, do some charting, look for some setups, those types of things. Guys, good luck. We don't know what's going to happen now in the next 24 hours. I'll be asleep. You can watch me get rinsed live, or you can watch it pump. Okay, enjoy it. Enjoy the show. Okay. See you guys later.
Juicy.